Hartsville Commander Major Khaledi has been promoted. So congratulations. Let's give it in his rank, and we are very happy for you. I know there is someone coming to fill your shoes. It's a big shoes to fill, but we know him. He's been engaged in the community, and we hope to see sometime in the future. And we are actually working to invite him to one of the future city council meetings just for introduction. Thankfully, Major Khaledi will still serve us as our contract police program director or program manager, or whatever you call it. He basically runs our contract police program. It's a fairly large police program. As you know, there are 15.5 FTE police officers who patrol our cities, and they do a supplementary job to the major police response work that Prince George's Police Department does. So we are very happy to have them, and they've been working very closely with our city staff, Mr. Coker, and also PGPD and the EMPD police departments. I'll stop there, and thank you again for coming and to have a engaging conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I think at this time I would request Major Khaledi. I know he is promoted, and I haven't had the hang of him.
What should I call you? Your major is not an appropriate thing, right?
So I think I would like for the, from communication point of view with the group, if you would tell us, if there's going to be any transitional things. I know we probably have shared the new Division 1 Commander, Mr. Surpus, or if there are any other changes in anything. I just wanted you to say in maybe a couple of, sentences, if there's going to be any transitional things within this group. I understand I have talked to you previously, but I think all the people here, all the stakeholders would like to hear from you if there are going to be any, operational changes, transition or anything of that sort.
Will do. Thank you. So there will be no changes at all to the contract program itself under the supervision. Major Surpus, who was one of my captains for a period of time, got promoted to major, and he's now going to run Division 1. So that will be the only change. The only change will be that Major Surpus will be running Division 1, but I'll continue to run the contract program. So it'll be a smooth transition, and I think it'll go real well.
Thank you, sir. Now maybe you might want to jump in. I think we have quite a bit of monthly data. Last time in our February meeting, we shared the December data for City of College Park, and I think you do have in your records here what you have shared with us, that there's a data for January and February.
Yes, so we'll start off with January, and then we'll go right into February, and then we'll take some questions afterwards. I think you skipped a slide. Your review. Shit, he wants to go to the next one.
It doesn't seem me, but they're all kind of cut off. Is it looking that way to others?
A little bit smaller. Is that better?
Perfect.
All right, so this is the, we'll start off for January 2025. This is just a overview of all the crimes in the city for the month of January. We have 1 robbery, 2 assaults, 1 commercial burglary, 5 theft from autos, 10 auto thefts, and 8 auto thefts. And I'll go into some detail just about some of the violent ones or the more serious ones later, but we'll get to the next slide. This is the location of the citizen robbery, which was reported on January 8th at 18:39 hours. It was at 9801 Rhode Island Avenue. The victim who was using the Facebook Market app made arrangements to sell some merchandise in the parking lot. And in doing so, the suspect who was posing as a customer displayed a handgun and took the property and fled. This is still a very active investigation. We've been, well, anyway, I'll just say it's a very active investigation right now. We have not identified a suspect as of today. Next slide. Just an overview of the 2 assaults that were reported in the city. Next slide. This is just the one commercial burglary we had in the city. And that was occurred on January 15th. It was reported at 0920 hours. It was in the 5000 block of Edgewood Road. It was a Latino market. The suspects gained entry into the business by shattering the front door glass, and they were able to remove some of the property and fled. Next slide, please. Just an overview of the theft from autos and other thefts. I will say for the month of January, we had a decrease in theft from autos, so we had 12 in December, and we went down to 5 in the month of January. But we had an increase in stolen vehicles, we went from 7 to 8. All right, next slide, please.
I'm sorry, on that last slide, there seems to be a cluster like right there around District 2, around Greenbelt Road. Are those, and there's kind of more dots than what I thought you just said. Can you just explain the dots we're looking at? I'm sorry, I can't see it well on this slide.
So the purple dots are other thefts, okay? It could be anything from a shoplifting, somebody breaking into a shed. I would say the brown dots are theft from autos, which were 5.
Thank you.
So in the month of December, we had 12 theft from autos, and in the month of January, we only had 5. Next slide. This indicates, you'll see that we had 8 auto thefts. And in the month of December, we had 7. Next slide. This is just the heat map looking at the noise complaints. Great, next slide. Just quality of life heat map. Next slide. So this is just a map looking at the field interviews conducted by the officers at the traffic stops. The field interviews are outlined in yellow, and the purple dots will indicate the different traffic stops being made in the city. So if you count it up there, I think there's a total of 17 field interviews for that month. Next slide, please. Just the overall monthly comparison, looking at violent crime compared to nonviolent crime. And next slide, please. So this is the monthly crime stats. I'm not going to go into it. I'll just give everybody a chance to take a look at it. We discussed most of them earlier. while everybody's looking at, we had 4 shopliftings for the month of January. We made an arrest in 2 of the incidents. And as a police department, we track what type of vehicles that were stolen. Out of the 8 vehicles that were stolen in the month of January, 1 was a Hyundai and the other one was a Kia. All right, what we'll do is we'll jump, all right, we'll look at the definitions real quick, Chair. And then I'll give everybody a chance to look at it. It's the same definitions that we do every month, and then we'll get ready for February.
So you talk.
What is the, you had a slide with field interviews and traffic stops. What's the difference in those two?
What's that?
What's the difference between the field interviews and traffic stops?
A field interview is when you actually stop an individual for suspicious activity, such as maybe somebody standing in front of the 7-Eleven store, somebody who's walking through a neighborhood looking suspicious, maybe checking out cars at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what you would call a field interview. Traffic stops are people who violate the traffic laws of the state of Maryland.
Thank you.
It could be anything other than stop sign violation, right? Also,
Anything, could be anything, any, ready for February. All right, we're going to start off with February, then we'll take some questions too afterwards.
System.
Ready for you. Right. Okay, we're going to start off with February. This is the overview map of all the crimes reported in the city that we actually tracked. And I'll just give everybody a couple minutes to take a look at it. We did have 1 citizen robbery, 4 assaults. We had 4 commercial burglaries. We had 2 other burglaries. They were to like storage units or sheds. We had 5 theft from autos, 12 other thefts, and 2 stolen vehicles. Next slide, please. This is the slide talking about the citizen robbery. The citizen robbery occurred on February 16th at 2:19 in the morning. It occurred in the 4700 block of Berwyn House Road. The victim was walking outside when the suspect's vehicle approached. The suspects displayed a handgun and demanded the victim's property. They took the victim's property and fled the area. What's unique about this case is that vehicle that the suspects were driving was taken in an armed carjacking off of Cox Avenue in Chillum about 12 hours prior. We have made an arrest for the carjacking, or I'm sorry, we made an arrest. We recovered the vehicle which was occupied. We made an arrest in that instance, but we are still investigating to determine if the person in the vehicle is a suspect that committed the carjacking and the citizen robbery. So it's still an active investigation. Next slide, please. Just a map indicating the 4 assaults. All right, next slide. This is just outlining the 4 commercial burglaries.
Susan,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Again, those 4 assaults, they were all, it looked like they were all clustered together. Was that, where, is that a hot spot where a lot of things are happening? Did that all happen at the same time, like a fight? Or can you give more information about that?
The only thing I can tell you is we did have 2 people assaulted in the 8300 block of Baltimore Avenue. And those 2 suspects that assaulted 2 victims, they were college students, and we issued a student referral to the University of Maryland regarding that incident. So that's why you see the 3 dots. I know 2 of them, 2 people were victims of an assault, so that's why it looks like there's a cluster there. I hope that answers your question.
I think so. What would the third one be? Is this all associated with one particular business, like people are outside of?
We had an assault in the 8200 block of Baltimore Avenue. The victim advised he was struck by a vehicle, 2 occupants exited the vehicle and assaulted the victim.
Okay, thank you for that information.
And all right, next slide, please. All right, we'll stay on the burglaries. So I just talked about a couple of the commercial burglaries. We had a commercial burglary in the 7300 block of Baltimore Avenue, Panda Express. Suspect entered the fast food restaurant during overnight delivery. Suspect stole some equipment and then fled the area. We also had a commercial burglary in the 10,200 block of Baltimore Avenue. The TA is Milk and Honey Cafe. Suspects shattered the front door, gained entry, and they were able to steal the safe. I will just say that this is a crew that's working the county and other jurisdictions, so it's an active investigation. All the other burglaries are not really much to talk about. A lot of them deal with like storage units. And then lastly, the Dunkin' Donuts and the 10,200 block of Baltimore Avenue. Suspects were able to gain entry by shattering the front door. They stole some cash out of the cash register, and that's still being actively investigated. Okay, next slide, please.
Dunkin' Donut one is near IKEA, correct?
Yes. Yeah. This is just a map. It's about theft from autos and other thefts. The theft from autos are in brown, and the other thefts are in purple. Next slide, please. Just the two stolen vehicles that we had in the city for the month of February. Next slide. Just the heat mapping indicating noise complaints. Next slide. The heat mapping indicating quality of life issues throughout the city.
What does that mean?
There's a field. Well, I'll explain to you in a minute. Next slide, please. This is the slide indicating field interviews and traffic stops for the month of February. We conducted 16 field interviews, and the rest is traffic stops throughout the city. Next slide, please. I think everybody can see this is just a comparison of the violent crimes regarding nonviolent crimes. I'll leave that up there for a minute so everybody can get a chance to look at it. All right, next slide. All right, so you can look at the crime stats for the month of January and February. We did have a spike in burglaries in the city. But we also we have an increase in the whole division regarding burglaries too. And just while everybody's looking at, like I spoke earlier, we went from having 1 burglary in February and reclassified, we had 6 for the month of February. There was no change in theft from autos. We only had 5 for the month of February, just like we did in January. And we also saw a decrease in auto thefts from 8 in January down to 2 vehicles in February. And we go to the next slide. So, Councilmember, you were talking about what the slide was about. This would basically show you a lot of the. Sorry. So if you look at quality of life issues, there are disorderly conducts, loitering, drug complaints, et cetera, et cetera. Could be noise.
Domestic violence?
Not domestic violence. That's a category in itself.
Okay.
And I think that's it for the slides. And if it's okay with everyone, we'll open it up for discussion or any questions, I should say. I will say this, that the contract officers in February did make an arrest for one of the burglaries. They received a call. The individual was in a storage unit that's owned by let's just say, a medical facility. There was important documents in that unit, and the suspect was actually apprehended inside the unit. So that was good work by the contract officers.
Good. Susan, you still have question or okay?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Oh, hello. Gloria Paricio Blackwell from the University of Maryland Office of Community, the Center for Community Engagement. Congratulations on your promotion. I mean, in a District 1. So my question is, compare with previous years, are we getting in a dicey situation or is it getting more in control? That's one. And second, is this now with a lot of changes that is happening, people losing jobs and all of that, is that what you see that increase to? What is the pattern that you see? Are we safe? I know one crime is too many, but I want to make sure is this something that we need to start ramping up and giving information to the community how they can be also safe and savvy in handling all these situations. In our case, for the students, how would we need to start dealing with the students as well too? Thank you.
So are you just talking about crimes in the city itself or crimes at the university?
No, I'm talking about your data, what you just presented here. So I'm reflecting to you about the data that you presented here.
Yeah, I don't see anything alarming because I look at trends for the city itself and also trends in the surrounding jurisdictions. So there's nothing alarming at this time. There's no big increases or decreases. Yes, from month to month, you will see a slight increase in some crimes, then you'll see a decrease. So to get to your point, there's really nothing alarming to me. And we have not seen an increase in crimes regarding the layoffs or people being terminated by the federal government.
There's a question here in the chat.
So there's a question, I'll just read it to everybody. How helpful are the use of personal security cameras and their footage to police investigations? They're very helpful. We do use videos from our citizens all the time, but they are very helpful. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Do they hand it over to you all?
Well, I would say right now, I don't think we've ever had a problem from citizens not giving us their video.
Right. But investigators having to ask, or is it like a place where they can send it to you?
No, we go around, do what we call a premise check. If we see cameras, we knock on the door, we leave information, and then we'll go back, either look at the video If there's nothing on the video, there's no need for us to take it. If there is some evidence on the video, we'll ask for a copy of it. We can always get a subpoena, so.
Okay. Cool.
So you can see the demand, with being an investigator, when you have all these crimes, and there's a lot of people with cameras, so it's a lot of man hours used to look at all the videos. And a lot of times it's just hard to get in contact with a lot of people because they're not home, they may work at night, so there's always a delay. Can you tell if there's any other questions?
Ms. Raj?
Hello, yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm a local business owner and I just have a few questions. As far as what can we do as business owners here in College Park to protect our guests and to keep our businesses safe? We're locking doors and we have security cameras, ring cams and things like that. What else, is it that we can do? We have a lot of vagrants. There are a lot of guys kind of hanging out at the 7-Eleven, peeking through windows, things like that. You call the police, and I know that it's not really much you can do, unless there is an actual crime. But I am seeing a lot of that, like a lot of loitering, a lot of lingering. We have signs up, we have cameras, but I don't feel like they deter people as much.
So Sheila, what business do you have? What are you talking about? What location?
We have a hair salon on Baltimore Avenue.
What's the 100 block?
82, what is this? 8750. We're across from the 7-Eleven, and, the guys kind of hang out there a lot. We call, a couple times because they'll come look in our windows. We try to keep the curtains closed. We have, locks on the door. We buzz people in. We do not leave our doors open. But, there are guys, I don't know if they are at some sort of a transitional housing situation, but they hang out at 7-Eleven quite a bit.
So it sounds like to me you're doing everything correctly. You got cameras at your business. You have your doors locked, so you have a good security system. You have a good trying to think of your security system in place. We have seen in the county a lot of people do hang out or loiter in front of the 7-Elevens. A lot of people are homeless. And I'll just emphasize to everybody, being homeless is not against the law. There's no law that says you cannot be homeless. We do work with all the 7-Elevens. Some 7-Elevens are owned by the corporations. Some are owned by franchises. We need their permission. We need their permission to authorize us to make an arrest for trespassing on the property. Just because somebody's on the property one time, they won't be arrested for trespassing. We always will give them 1 or 2 warnings before we do make an arrest. But that's up to the owner, because we need the owner to come to court or one of his agents to testify on behalf of the business. So what we'll do is we'll increase our patrols at the 7-Eleven on Baltimore Avenue, and we'll move some people along if they're out there hanging out. I don't know if that 7-Eleven has any signs regarding loitering or trespassing. So we'll have to take a look at that, and then we can work with the management, whether it's a corporation or a private owner, and see if there isn't any signs. We'll see if they would be willing to add the signs to the property, and also for them to have some communication with their employees, because a lot of times employees are afraid to call the police when they see people hanging out, but we need them to do that. All right, I want that record of them calling in saying somebody is loitering or trespassing, all right? Because I don't want the officers to make stops, because that can lead into other issues. So if we have the employees working, call the police and say these individuals are loitering or trespassing, then we establish a good foundation to make that stop. I hope that answers your question, Shelley.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Major, I know in the past, PGPD had a wonderful program called security assessment, and a restaurant or a business can call PGPD, and an officer would be coming and going around the business or the home and suggest or make a recommendation on a list of things they can improve on. I know you told the business, Ms. Roger's business looks like has implemented quite a few things like cameras and other. But do you think it's possible to send an officer to see if further improvement can be made? Just curious.
So the mayor brings up a good point. We do conduct security surveys of businesses when asked. Any business that is broken into, we automatically send a community policing officer to a location, and they offer a security survey for that business. Some businesses will take us up, others will not. But yes, that's something we'll look at. Most 7-Elevens are pretty good because they're run by the corporation. They have guidelines. But yes, we can stop by and see if they're willing to take some suggestions.
Yeah.
Actually,
Thank you. I think the challenge is fear. Our business was broken into. We were held up at gunpoint, my girls and my customers here. And this is the reason, why we're on this call, because we are trying our best to keep everyone safe. The challenge is, I think the employees are scared. When you go to Lidl, there are people there hanging out, asking for money, things like that. Everyone's a little bit afraid to kind of say anything because everyone's, kind of just uncomfortable right now. We weren't given that opportunity. I will look into it. But what I'm saying is that I see people, and it's everybody. They're just hanging out at the 7-Eleven, and then they make their way over to us. It's been about 3 or 4 times. My car was broken into. My business was broken into. One time we had to wait here for about 15 minutes for an officer to come because there was somebody kind of standing on the ledge. We could see them on the camera, but they couldn't see us. And they were kind of waiting for myself and and one of my clients to leave. So I totally understand, but I think people are afraid. If I worked at 7-Eleven, I would not go outside and say, hey, can you move along? I would just be too afraid. The doors are open. Anybody can come in at any time.
so Shelley, when was your business robbed? You said you were a victim of an armed robbery?
Yes, we were. Yeah.
Do you have the date?
I believe it was March. Wow. Oh my God. It was March 3rd, 2 years ago. This is crazy.
2 days ago.
2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago.
Yes.
Okay,
This
2
is
years.
crazy. Yeah, let me double check. Yeah, we were here and, it was before we didn't have our doors locked. We didn't have, an electrical locking system, and someone came in posing, for a hair service, and it was late. And, they just took advantage. No one was hurt. I mean, we're all shaken up, but I think it's kind of, I see the kids running by, I see people bothering them, and they're kind of scurrying along trying to get to where they're going. And I don't know where it's coming from or why, but I do notice a lot of hanging out, a lot of loitering, and they're not intimidated, by us. I tried to come to work one day and park, and this guy was just like sitting in my parking lot, would not move. I had to call the police. So, I think we're all kind of going through it.
Hey, Shelley, just, what's your address of your business?
8307 Baltimore Avenue. I'm diagonal. It's a little white salon, looks like a little house. I can see
Yeah, I know
7-Eleven from my building. And if I'm cleaning the doors, I can see like people just standing there looking. So we keep it closed, so they don't have access, but keeping it closed still affects the business because, you want people to see what you're doing. You want to do the best you can to attract customers, especially, after construction and all that. But it's 50-50. It's dicey.
Yeah. So Shelley, the one thing I ask you, have you personally called the police in the last 30 days about any suspicion?
Yeah, the last time I called, some guy walked up, let me see, probably, maybe it was in January. Um, for our back window, we can see out, but people can't see in. And there was just the guy, I took a picture of him and everything, but the guy walked behind my car and looked in the window, like put his hands up on the window to kind of block the sunlight so he could see what was going on in here. We called the police and they, we gave a description and they said they would try to locate him and ask him a couple questions. I still see this man. I just saw him today. He still walks up and down the block. That's not a crime. That is not a crime. And I do not want it to sound as if, I'm insinuating that he was going to do something. But I just think that is unusual for someone to walk up to a business and kind of, press their hands over, covering their head to kind of peer in because they can't see through the tent. You would come to the door. You would knock on the door, you'd ring the bell, you would do something. So that's why I'm asking what else, what is there that we can do? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras. I can see them all on my screen. There's a Ring camera as well. And I make sure that thing, is working all the time. But yeah, I think that's, we're all kind of doing what we can.
Well, Shelley, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. And I encourage you, if you see any suspicious activity, to report it. And I will ask the officers working for the contract program to conduct additional patrols in that area, along with the 7-Eleven, which is kind of across the street. And I think the mayor might have something.
Speaking of 7-Eleven, I got a call from the owner of the 7-Eleven on Edgewood, close to Rhode Island Avenue. He was telling me last Friday, there are 4 thefts, probably burglaries, happened last month, in the month of February. In the past, you probably know this store and other stores probably got hit by stolen ATM machines. And Major made a good point about community police officers getting involved. So I got him in touch with our community police officer, Officer Lovin, to do a security survey. He has, just like you, Shelley, his store has all kind of cameras and alarm system, but it still is getting hit and hit. People come, in the same group of people come after midnight and ask for money, ask for cigarettes, and just get away. They can't do anything, fortunately. It's a trend probably in the area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions?
No one else? Nothing heard?
Mary, you should have a question. You always have some ideas.
She asked great question last time.
No, I just always remember what Major Coletti says about being vigilant and like locking your cars, making good decisions about which I'm glad that Gloria is on the call because sometimes our city council meetings go really late and I drive down Route 1, as I'm sure Councilmember Hernandez and Councilmember Whitney does. And you just see there's people, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and they're walking up and down Route 1 and by themselves. And so, it just seems like there's like things we can do to avoid putting ourselves in the position of being victims. And, one of the things Major Coletti always says is make sure your car is locked. Make sure you don't have anything visible that would tempt somebody to break the window. And I have said that to people over and over again. And, it's just like, make sure your doors are locked, at your home, make sure your windows are locked. And, we need to also look out for each other. We have a very vibrant community neighborhood watch that we look out for our neighbors, and those are the kinds of things that help to prevent crime. So that's my idea. I know that Todd is trying hard to get neighborhood watch off the ground in D1. So I applaud him for that. And I know that the director of our neighborhood watch is on the call, and he's very he and Bonnie are both wonderful at getting people to get to know each other, and that way you can look out for each other. Thank you.
So Maria, you just made me think of something that was good information that you shared, is that I know a lot of people like to give a couple dollars to people that are homeless or begging for money. I always ask people not to do it. If you want to donate money, donate it to a charitable organization, but please do not give it to homeless individuals, because I will say that on many occasions, they will use that money to either buy alcohol or illicit drugs, and it doesn't help out a lot. So if you do want to contribute, by all means, please contribute to a organization. And I always say this, it's not good to take money out of your wallet, your pocket, purse, and have that homeless person see that. I'm not saying that all homeless people are, I would use the word criminals or do anything illegal, but you should never be showing anybody what you have in your possession. So please, if you want to contribute and help somebody out, do it through an organization. Don't do it on the street.
Yeah, I think we have to reduce the, opportunities of crime. And I think when we kind of indicate there is some possession that we have, it creates, unnecessary things on the minds of people who may not be thinking correct.
Another question that I would like to raise is about, as you know, that we are surrounded around by many immigrant communities, and right now with being undocumented or having in a situation that perhaps you never know what's going to happen with any other federal agencies coming to our town. So is any recommendations, because you have your team, Officer Nunez has done a tremendous work in connecting with the community, and we don't want to lose that as the immigrant community start fearing the police, because they don't know the distinction from federal agents and the local police in some instances. So is anything that you are telling in those town halls that you have, any recommendations that we can spread, amplify that message, and how to take them at ease that they will report crime, they will report any situation they are in, because right now they are in fear. So I just want to understand if any campaign, anything that you're doing and your team are doing, that we can amplify that message. Thank you.
I will just say this, as a local law enforcement agency, we do not enforce immigration law. That's not the responsibility of the county police department. That's the responsibility of the federal government. The only thing that we would do is we don't enforce civil detainers issued by INS. We will assist with criminal matters only, but we do not assist with civil violations. And a lot of your civil violations are people that have green cards and they're expired, and that makes them a civil detainer. But the county police, we do not enforce immigration violations. That's the job of the federal government. Our job is to protect every resident in the county.
Is it only major crimes for criminal assistance?
I'm sorry?
Well, you said that we do not support civil detainers, but the criminal detainers, is it only violent crimes?
Yes.
Okay, not anything minor.
It could be somebody that's wanted for like murder or something like that.
Sure, but not like a crime, like a moving violation or something basic.
No.
Okay.
Ms. Whitney?
Yes, I was wondering if the police department has put out any any video or any informational statement that might be in multiple languages that could be shared on various platforms that informs people in the public that that is your policy?
Yes, the police department has put it out through our media relations division.
Would you mind sharing that with Director Kokar so that he could share it with us, so we could share it on our own platforms?
I'll have to see if I can obtain a copy of it. And
Okay. I thought it might be like on your website or something. I was just gonna ask for a link, but it's,
website. I mean, I don't look at the police department's website, but
of course.
it could be.
Okay.
I know our media relations division did send out a statement regarding immigration.
So, I think, Susan, last time when we had the CMAS meeting, University of Maryland shared a document. I think it was put in chat. That was a very good document that just kind of talked about immigration scenario, just to alleviate concerns that people who may not be documented or kind of those kind of things. And I think what Mr. Kaladi has said, police in general do not enforce, immigration laws to the extent until or unless there is a criminal involvement somewhere.
Yeah, thank you. I would just love to have video of that. Somebody in uniform saying that might make people more relaxed. I don't know, just a thought.
GOV.
Did you find it?
That's just the main page.
Oh, okay.
There's no questions.
All right, so I think I wanted to recognize Mayor Pro Tem Denise Mitchell. She was here. I saw her earlier. Okay.
Just like that.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
All right, I think we are close to any question here. And I think it brings us to the culmination of this meeting. Our next meeting would be in City Hall in our community room there at the first floor. Today was the only instance throughout this year that we had to do it here, but it'll be in person with the Zoom, hybrid combination at that place next month, first Monday onwards, all the way to the end of the year. All right, folks, you all have a great rest of the night. Have a good one.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.